I now invite the public orator to present the honorary graduate, April Ashley, for admission to her degree.
Deputy Vice-Chancellor. April Ashley was awarded an MBE in the 2012 Birthday Honours List for services to transgender equality. She received a Lifetime Achievement Honour at the European Diversity Awards in 2014 and was made a Liverpool Citizen of Honour in 2015. As a university committed to the fullest possible flourishing for our LGBT staff and students, we are proud and delighted to be able to honour her today. Her life and her achievements are an inspiration to anyone who believes that we should be free to define ourselves and our own identity. April was born George Jamieson in 1935, one of 6 children in the centre of Liverpool. She felt from the start that she was a girl, and her obvious difference from the other boys inevitably made her the victim of bullying. At the age of 15, she joined the Merchant Navy, partly because she felt it might be a way of jump-starting the masculinity she felt she lacked. This strategy only widened the gulf between what she felt herself to be and what society ordained she should be. At the age of 20, in 1955, April made the momentous decision to move to London. She found work in a Lions Corner house, which acted as something of a haven for artists, bohemians and gay men. Being gay or trans was still a precarious and illegal way of life, but the anonymity of London gave her the freedom to begin to accept and reveal her true identity. She adopted the name Tony and began to wear women's clothes and makeup. In 1956, life opened up still further when, through a connection she had made in London, she moved to Paris to work at the Carousel Club. Le Carousel was world famous for the male and female impersonators who performed there, and the list of regular guests reads like a roll call of some of the most famous names of the 20th century: Elvis Presley, Claudette Colbert, Rex Harrison, Josephine Baker, Ginger Rogers, to name but a few. The brevity of the interview she received for her first job there is perhaps a tribute to her beauty and charisma. "Can you sing?" the manager asked. "No," came the reply. "Can you dance?" "No." "Okay, you've got the job." The manager's confidence proved to be justified, and April went on to be the show's presenter. It was at the Carousel that one of her friends, Coccinella, suggested the possibility of gender reassignment surgery. And in 1960, she went to Casablanca for an operation under the famous Dr. Georges Bourou, only the 9th such operation he had performed. The experience was harrowing, but the operation was a success, and it meant that April had become the woman she always believed she was. She returned to London, where she changed her name to April Ashley by deed poll and became a celebrated model, an actress, and a fixture in fashionable society. Her statuesque beauty meant that she appeared in Vogue and was photographed by David Bailey. However, in 1961, she was outed as a transsexual in the Sunday People newspaper. The coverage in the media was hostile and transphobic, and she never modelled in the UK again after the revelations. Many friends stood by her, however. At the time of the Sunday People story, she was filming The Road to Hong Kong with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. When she was threatened with being sent off the set, the girls with whom she had been working stood firm. "If April goes, we go," they said. April stayed. In 1963, she married Arthur Corbett, whom she had met at the Carousel Club in 1961. The marriage foundered, and though Corbett knew of her history, he petitioned for divorce in 1967 on the grounds that April was born male and therefore the marriage was void. The divorce proceedings established a test case which continues to have relevance throughout the world today. The judge ruled in 1971 that she was male and the marriage was annulled. Bleak as the outcome was for April and for other trans people, she did not accept her fate, but set out to fight against it. In the 1990s and early 2000s, she redoubled her efforts, lobbying the Lord Chancellor and Tony Blair. Her work and that of her fellow campaigners bore fruit in the Gender Recognition Act of 2004. In 2005, April, assisted by John Prescott, with whom she had briefly worked in a hotel in North Wales in the 1950s, was finally issued with a new birth certificate. 45 years and 4 months after I became the woman I wanted to be, she said, I had a piece of paper to prove I really am April Ashley. I feel free at last. Despite the difficulties April has faced, there are few people who radiate such relish for life. To meet her is to be entertained by a flow of witty recollection and acute observation, enlivened by her sense of fun, and heartened by someone who has enjoyed life to the full and continues to do so. Over the last 50 years, the social and legal framework within which transgender people live has changed completely. There is much progress still to be made, there is still prejudice to be faced down, and recent developments across the Atlantic have shown that the forward progress of liberal values can never be taken for granted. But gone, in the UK at least, is the almost universal failure of understanding and the legal denial of identity that transgender people faced in the past. That such a change has taken place is in no small measure due to the bravery of people who have fought and campaigned to change the beliefs, the perceptions, and the laws that prevented transgender people being who they are and who they want to be. People like April, who worked with courage and modesty and grace to ensure that others would not have to suffer as she did and could be fully and proudly themselves. Deputy Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Council and Senate of the University, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of Laws, Honoris Causa, in this university, April Ashley.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, Honoris Causa, in this university.